Good day. My name is Omolara Ishola. I'm the host of Possibilities Divine. I want to welcome you to another beautiful session. And like I said earlier, our topic today is titled Old Flame. Old Flame. And somebody wants to ask me, what does old flame mean? An old flame is a person that you had emotional, usually passionate, romantic relationship with in the past, and you still look fondly, affectionately towards them, either anytime their name is mentioned or anytime you come in contact with them. So why are we talking about an old flame? An old flame is somebody that you have always felt very good towards them. Perhaps you went out, you dated, maybe when you were younger, and circumstances and life happened and you parted ways. And for some reason, all of a sudden they show up again and the emotions are whipped up all over again. You would agree with me that of all the inventions, major inventions that have been done lately, Facebook tops them in terms of having advantages and disadvantages. Facebook is one place where you will go, you will connect with old mates, you'll get ideas, you'll get inspiration. And it's the same platform where you connect and you'll find out that people are into really crazy stuff, if I'm allowed to say that. And so why are we talking about old flame today? There is a difference between what you want and what you need. When you are happily married, or maybe you're not particularly happily married, but when you are married and all of a sudden an old flame shows up and the settings in your body, your chemistry gets upset because all of a sudden you remember how you were with that person. Maybe they were very nice to you. Maybe they were exceptionally nice. Maybe they treated you really well. And all of a sudden you are married now, and it's like when you compare your old flame to your husband or your wife, there is no basis for comparison. Usually an old flame shows up at a time when things are not particularly great with you in your marriage. Take, for example, a man who is having a challenge with his wife, either because of attitude or disposition, all of a sudden sees a friend's friend on Facebook who says likes. And then you look at it and you're like, the face looks familiar. That person kind of looks familiar. And then by the time you go from one page to the other, you discover that that is the person that you went out, you dated when you were in Form 2. And now perhaps the woman is a big woman. She's doing very well. She's very pretty. She looks all settled and all that. Maybe you don't see the picture of a man, but whatever it is, you get carried away and you start dreaming. You probably send that person an inbox message and they respond. And before you know what's going on, you guys have started chatting. You've started talking about old times, the fun you used to have, how great you were together. And you begin to question, what exactly happened? Why did we part ways? And before the man knows what's going on, he can't think straight. He can't even see his wife from the same light anymore. And the same, maybe it's a woman who's on the receiving end now. A guy that you went out with in high school. Maybe he didn't look like it, but you just managed, maybe the first guy that toasted you or whatever. And now he's a successful architect or a medical doctor or whatever. You see his family picture on Facebook. He looks all settled. His wife has children. And maybe you're still trusting God for the fruit of the womb. And you're wondering, what would life have been like if I had married this guy? And for, the way things usually pan out, you get in touch with that person. You start talking, you start gisting, and then you pick it up from there. People usually find it very easy to have an affair with an old flame, somebody that they used to like or they used to date in the past. Most of the time, a lot of people don't set out to say, okay, I am going to have an affair. But you're having a challenge in your marriage and you're on Facebook, you're surfing, you're looking at your friend's page, and you discover a long lost friend. And all of a sudden you start talking and he starts listening to you, or she starts listening to you, and you start chronicling the challenges you're having in your marriage. And he too is telling you, you know what, girl, it's the same in my own home. And you guys are comparing notes, comparing notes, comparing notes. And before you know it, you're like, why did we even part ways? What happened? You're a great guy. You're a great girl. You were lovely. You were this, you were that. And I think we should, and then you make an arrangement. I think we should get together. It's somebody's birthday in Dubai. It's somebody's birthday in another city. And because an affair thrives on secrecy, you say, okay, let us meet somewhere. And before you know it, what started as, something very light, something, old-time friends, will metamorphosize into something, a monster that will be too difficult for you to handle. Why should we be extremely careful? Sometimes you think, that only happens to people who are not born again. That happens to people who are in the world. What about you, the wife of a pastor? You are married to a pastor who spits fire, a renowned man of God, a solid man of God. And before you know it, you're having challenges like any other regular person anyway. Pastors have challenges. Ministers have challenges. Even bishops have challenges. However, when you know that I don't have any option, I have to make it work, then you put in effort. However, by the time you discover a brother that you were very close to in fellowship in those days, maybe in your uni days, and the brother is still speaking, maybe he has a ministry, he's telling you about the word of God, and then all of a sudden, that same brother, it looks very handsome, more handsome than campus days. And he has word, even more word than the days he used to be a brother in your cell group on campus. And that same brother is the brother that you decide to go to for counseling online. He's the one who tells you, and every time he sees you, he's like, sis, you're so beautiful. I don't know what the matter is with your husband. Is he blind? What is wrong with men these days? And everything that you are missing out on, all the things that you say your husband is not saying, this brother begins to say those things and even more. And you're like, is this not a human being? I wonder why I did not even, I don't know what happened to me. Why did I not marry Brother Zebediah? The same Brother Zebediah who seems to know how to treat you now. There must have been a reason why you didn't end up with him. There must have been a reason why you guys didn't, the relationship you were trying to forge at that time, why it didn't work. All of a sudden, because things are not right in your home, Brother Zebediah seems to be the best thing since sliced bread. Old flame. Because we're relational beings, it's very easy for us, to pick things up from where we stopped, especially with our ex. An ex is an ex for a reason. Was there not a reason why, if it's a broken relationship, was there not a reason why you broke up that relationship? Somebody says it was my parents who didn't want me to marry somebody from another region. Okay. You're married to somebody from your region. Will your parents still be happy if you eventually marry that person? And most of the time when you talk considering an old flame, it is just a temporary emotional whipping up. When you whip up your own emotions, when you feel, oh my goodness, temporarily because of your circumstance, that person seems to have everything you seem to be missing in the whole world. They have the right word to say to you. They look well. Maybe the number of children you've always dreamed of, that's the number they have. Maybe you've always trusted God for a big ministry and your old flame has a big ministry now. Or maybe you hear, maybe he's been given an award for being the best in this, the best in that. And you're like, I knew there was a future with that guy. I knew there was a future with that girl. And all of a sudden, everything that you have presently becomes rubbish when you compare it. Again, when you're talking about old flame, the reason why it would have a negative effect is because you start comparing notes. Your husband does not look fine anymore. Your wife does not look pretty anymore compared to your ex-girlfriend. There is no doubt about the fact that some of those people that when we look at them, they may look beautiful, they may look lovely, they may seem to have achieved. But what is the standard by which you're measuring this? Somebody who shows pictures on Facebook? Of all the inventions that I've seen lately, Facebook is one invention that every time I think about it, I'm like, wow. You see pictures, people paint wrong pictures of things that are not real. People let you see things that you really want to see. People show only the side of them that they want you to show, that they want you to see. There was a recent story that I heard of a lady who who knew a guy, an old flame too. And they had been talking on Facebook, they had been talking on the telephone, and this guy will post scriptures, this guy will, he's become really, and the girl was like, the guy has changed, he's no longer the old fellow that I used to know. And of course, the lady's circumstance was different. She had separated from her spouse, and the other guy too had separated, and it looked like, okay, they could come together. And they were considering, maybe taking the relationship to the next level. And the girl was like, this guy is so good, the way he talks to me, the way he treats me. And she decided to take that old flame to fan it a little and make it perhaps become a fire. But she was one of the very few ones. She went to check the guy out and discovered that the guy was fluff. What she saw maybe on social media was not what she found where she got on ground. The same guy who would quote scriptures wasn't the same guy she met. Maybe the same guy who paraded himself in very nice designer wares. When she got there, she saw that he didn't have a good job. And then she now had to say, you know what? I have to be sensible about this whole thing. Why do you need to go and reconsider your old flame? Why do you need to, any relationship that is in the past, that you knew you were emotionally involved, you should be extremely careful. Because if my husband finds me at 2 a.m. chatting with my ex, how would he feel? What exactly are we chatting about at 2 a.m. at ungodly hours? Why does my ex need to be the one to compliment me, to say I am beautiful, and I'm basking in it, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm relishing, and this is a human being. My husband does not compliment me. It may be true. But when you are enjoying it momentarily, you are not thinking about the future. You are not thinking about where is this going, which is what you should be doing. So whether you're a married man, whether you're a married woman, whether you're a single girl or you're a single guy, and you're considering an old flame, be very careful. Because if you have not thought about the future, then what exactly is the whole idea behind it? You make yourself vulnerable if you have issues in your marriage and you discuss with an ex that you rediscover. Or even maybe you've always known that ex, but for some reason you're in close proximity. If you have issues in your marriage and you are discussing that issue with an ex, you make yourself vulnerable. In no time, they will comfort you, they will talk to you, perhaps you'll meet up, and before you know it, things will get out of hand. So you need to be very careful. The grass analogy, every time I'm talking about the grass being greener on the other side, that's true. The grass analogy is always very applicable in marriage situations. For example, when you sit down in front of the car with my husband opens the car for me, he does this, he does that. You don't even know you don't even know the rest of the story. You only see the things that you want to see. So when the grass seems to be greener on somebody's side, when you consider it, somebody is making effort. Somebody is wetting that lawn. Somebody is mowing that lawn. Somebody is removing weed from that lawn. Somebody is adding fertilizer. Those are the things that go into a green lawn. When you see a lawn that is well mowed, I used to have a neighbor. Every morning before he leaves the house in summer, he will wet his grass. The minute he's back from work in the evening, he will stay there, and it's like really full-time job. He will wet it, he will remove weed, and his grass will, there's a particular length, and it's always lustrous and green. You cannot compare that with the grass that is maybe you wet it once or 2 times in a week. It won't have the same luster. It won't have the same beauty. Marriage is exactly like that. When you look at somebody else and say, the man is the one who works, the wife does not work. Or you say, the wife is the one who is bringing in the lion's share. You are just sitting at home and not doing anything. Somebody is making effort. Are you making effort towards making things better in your marriage relationship? Or are you just looking for a way out? If I can just bail out, if I can just get married to somebody else, if I can just have another person, things will be different. But maybe not. Your boyfriend left whatever your native nation is right after high school. He was your sweetheart. He was your everything. Now you're married. You're a worker in your church. You stumble across his account on Facebook and you reconnect. You remember how he used to walk you back and forth. He will stroll, he'll walk you back. He'll tell you books to read. He'll buy you ice cream. And you remember all those things. Those are the memories you have about that former boyfriend. Now you are in your 40s. Do you not realize that things have changed and life has happened? That the guy that you see on Facebook is not the 17-year-old who used to walk you back and forth. He is a man who has faced, who has seen life, who has been disappointed, who has been betrayed, who has seen so much. So you can't compare how he will be with how he used to be. And that is the mistake a lot of people make. So that by the time you're thinking, okay, I'm going into a relationship with somebody, you're going into a relationship with a stranger that you have no idea who he is. Maybe that person has learned to be crooked. Maybe that person has learned to break people's heart. Maybe that person has learned by reason of the things that they have gone through. So when you say my old flame, he's way better than my husband, this was how he used to be like me, or this was how he used to be towards me, or he's better, man. This lady is better than my wife. She best cook, even in bed, and you have so many beautiful things to say about that person that your wife falls short. You need to be careful. You might be going in onto a total stranger. Maybe you see your ex, he's married, he looks successful, he's a professional. And your brother is a brother, he's just a guy who doesn't believe in spending too much. And all of a sudden you're like, I wish I could just. What exactly are you wishing for? Do you know what? Be careful what you wish for. Because by the time you get to the other side, you have given up your home, you have given up your life. A few things that I've witnessed in my short period of being alive has taught me that things are not always the way they seem when people portray them. Somebody who left her home, who left marriage, thinking the grass is green on the other side. When I get to America, life will be beautiful. When I get to Canada, only to get to Canada, and the person who has told her to give up everything, she gets there and the guy doesn't have papers, the guy doesn't have a job, the guy is just loafing about. Meanwhile, you have given up a home that God has given unto you, just because you believe when it gets to this person, life is good, you'll be having a good time. Your ex reminds you of the great time you used to have every time they're chatting with you on Facebook or on Snapchat or on WhatsApp. He tells you that he made a mistake by marrying his wife, that you were the one he's supposed to marry. He appreciates the favors and God's favor upon you, says you are so beautiful now, even a lot more beautiful than you were in those days. And he tells you that, oh, how I wish we could just meet, how I wish we could just run away to forever land. And he begins to say things like that, and those things begin to gather strength. They begin to form. They begin to make sense to you. And so every fault of your husband, you highlight it, this man, and then people try to settle your differences. You're like, no, this man does not take care of me. I'm better off staying on my own. And you know that you don't want to stay on your own. You just want an opportunity so that you'll be on your own, and then you'll be able to meet up with that guy. You better be careful. Because the guy that is telling you to leave a matrimonial home must be a very dangerous person. Because once you leave that matrimonial home, he's still going to play you for somebody else. That is the mistake a lot of women make. You leave everything that God has given you because you're comparing notes. You leave certainty for uncertainty. And by the time you get there, it will be too much. It would be too late for you to come back here. And that is the whole issue of old flame. Reawakening feelings from an ex. Trying to build a not too clear future based on the things you hear, based on the things that are portrayed to you. An old flame doesn't have a future, especially if you're a married woman or if you're a married man. Are you going to break the relationship and go and marry another person just because you're having challenges? I implore you that whatever challenge you may be having, try and work things out. Because a known devil, like they say, is better than an unknown angel. The things that are promised to you, they are only promises. The ones that you know right now, you can sit down, deal with them, and build on what you already have. And I pray that God will help you. There is another aspect of relationships that I want us to deal with. When you are having an affair. So this, if you're a man and you're having an affair, you might maybe you have never really considered the effect of what you do to your wife at home. You're just having fun. You're just having some, a man was created. The chemistry of a man is a chemistry of variety. The way a man thinks in terms of variety. Maybe that is true. But God did not create man to think in terms of variety as far as marriage is concerned. Male and female, he created them. God didn't create man with, Eve Susan and a few other women in the Garden of Eden. He created Adam and Eve, that in Eve, Adam will find his satisfaction. So when the world is suggesting to you, redefining what marriage should be, redefining what love should be, this is based on a Christian's perspective. You need to realize that what God wants for you is that you and your spouse will find joy and find fulfillment in building a life together. The book of Proverbs chapter 6 verse 27, Proverbs chapter 6 verse 27 says, can a man take fire to his bosom and his clothes will not be burned? Every time you have an affair and it's like, I can afford it. I have money. I can fuel this affair. Or maybe as a woman, you say, I'm a big girl. I'm not married, so I can afford to have any man. I can provide accommodation. I can provide a ride. Especially maybe you are in your late 30s, early 40s, and you're like, maybe I don't even need a man. I can just call any man that I want at will. I want you to realize that in this short life that I've been around, I have seen a few things. I have seen women who thought they had it all and they lost it all. I have seen men who thought, how much do they sell? What is the most expensive things in life? I can afford them. And they discovered that they couldn't afford anything. So when it comes to relationship, especially marriage relationship, care should be taken. Can a man take fire to his bosom and not be burned? Do you remember? I remember our uni days when men will just park beside our hostels, and they will just come, they'll pick girls at will. And there were girls who were into that business, and they seemed to be doing well. They could afford anything or whatever they liked. Shoes, bags, clothes. They could travel anytime. However, years after, they discovered that that is not how to live. Because a lot of them, nobody used them for your rituals or anything, but what about the effect on their own life, on their future? That is something to consider. For every time a man, and this is for men who have an affair, maybe you as a girl, you just want to have fun. You just want to hang out with a guy. Hey, I want to have fun. Here is a guy who is willing to give me a good time. Do you know the impact of the good time on the wife he has at home? Maybe you've never considered it. Every time a married man spends time with you, he gets home and he's upset with his wife for no reason. Because that woman spells a hindrance to his enjoyment. You, as a single person or as a married woman, having an affair with another man's husband, what you do is that you are not committed to that man. The wife is committed. There are no strings attached on your part. Her whole life is into that relationship. When the man comes to visit you and he gets home, whatever she prepares in terms of food disgusts him because you've already taken him to a 3, 4, 5-star hotel. You've enjoyed yourself. This woman has to clean, she has to tidy up, she has to take care of the children. You don't have to do that. You just have to look good at his provision. Your wig, your makeup, your clothes, your bag, your shoes. He pays for all those things. And he pays for the hotel where you guys stay. Meanwhile, he hardly gives his wife money. And when he gets home, he expects the house to be spick and span. He expects the children to be taken care of. So every time he comes around the woman, he is upset, he's irritated, he's disgusted. Because you are the perfect picture he sees every time you guys hang out. Fun is what you give him. Life is what his wife gives him. That woman can't seem to do anything right just because you are there. Every time that man hangs out with you, the wife submits to him at home. You don't submit. You don't even have to submit. He's always begging you, when next am I going to see you? When next am I going to do this? Because all you give him is an unsustainable reality. Whenever you go, maybe go away for a weekend or you just hang out at the hotel, that woman can never match the things you do for that man. Maybe in terms of your sexual prowess too. There's no way she can do the styles because she has young children at home. There's no way she can meet up with the demands. Meanwhile, that's all you live for. You are constantly, maybe you come back from your work, you make sure you take care of yourself, you go for a massage, you do everything ready for him to make him satisfied. And that man can't leave you. Yet, you are destroying the life that woman is trying to build. May I also say something to every married man who goes around having an affair, The book of Proverbs chapter 9 verses 17 to 18. Proverbs 9, 17 to 18 says, stolen water is sweet, and that is true. Stolen water is sweet. A bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But he does not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of hell. A lot of men do not die immediately after having an affair, but so many things die in them. The height that they're supposed to reach in life, they cut it short by reason of their affairs, by reason of the many women that they go into. Some men are supposed to be greater than where they are. And God help you if you are a born-again Christian. You profess the Lord Jesus Christ, and you also do this because you can afford it. It is a matter of time. You may not go to hell directly because you repent, but you are cutting your life short. Do you know how many men have contacted AIDS by reason of all this exploration and fun and enjoyment? It is not time to stay. Is it not time for you to stay content and stay with what God has given you? When you are looking for old flame, when you're looking for an ex, when you're looking for an affair, when you're thinking, okay, nobody would know. We will be we will not stay in the city where we live. Yes, your husband may not know. Your wife may never find out. But there is one who sees the eyes that run to and fro on the surface of the earth. When the time is right, you get your portion. I pray that your portion will not be in sorrow. Every time a married man, you know, there's so much fun that you can create in your own home. Somebody says, my wife is boring. My husband is boring. You'll be surprised that there's so much fun that you can create that when you say to yourself, I want to build this home, I want to build this relationship, I will do everything that it takes. You discover that you have peace of mind and you have joy in that relationship. That would be about the size of it. I know we still have just about 2 minutes, but I just want to appreciate everyone who has joined, everyone who has connected online, and for everyone who will connect. Salara Kerili, I see you, the Lord bless you. And I'm not sure who else is online. But for as many as have connected, thank you. For as many that are going to watch it later as a replay, you know, you have a young friend who seems to understand life and they seem to be enjoying it. I have enjoyed my life as a teenager. I'm still enjoying it. And you are cutting short the future that God has for you if you get involved with somebody else's husband. I will tell you a story. Somebody that I know said, a friend of mine wanted to introduce me to a guy. The guy is, you know, he's a big guy. But you know what the woman said? She said, but I'm afraid they told me his wife is a playing woman. So if your husband is having an affair, may I enjoin you to become a praying woman. When you table his matter before God and you just hand both him and the girls that are having affairs with him, you hand them over to God. It is a matter of time. A lot of women, a lot of girls and women have met their Waterloo in pursuing other people's husband. So instead of you to be running around, if you're a woman, your husband is having an affair, don't pursue him all over. Don't be suspicious. Don't be checking his phone. Just learn to find joy. Just learn to find contentment. Just learn to know that it is not about me. It is about him and the women he's having issues with. May I tell you that if you stay focused and you stay with God, he will fight your battle. You will hold your peace. You know, a lot of men whose wives are praying wives will say, I don't know, I'm not going to mention whatever is going on. And if anything happens to anybody, it will be, I will refer to you that you are the one who caused it. I remember a man saying that to his wife, that all this prayer that you are praying, I know you are praying against me and all my friends. The woman said, why will I be praying against you and your friends? And a girl reported that she had an accident. And the woman said, so what is my prayer? What does my prayer have to do with an accident? Well, you know what? God fights your battle in ways that you don't even need to specify. God will take it upon himself to make sure everybody gets his right portion. If anybody is pursuing your husband, hand them over to God. But make sure you are pursuing God. And when God fights your battle, you will hold your peace and you'll be like, God, this is too much. For every man who thinks adultery is something that is fun, you don't want to cut your own life short. So if you've discovered an old flame on Facebook or on internet or wherever, stay clear. An old flame can only burn you, just the same way fire burns. Can a man put fire in his bosom? Can a woman put fire in her bosom and not be burned? I pray that we will not be burned. And God bless you. Have a good one.